Hi guys, my name is Justin. Today I'll be talking to you about the theory that I created. It's called Factors of View theory. Pretty much with the um, theory that there's three different stages. The first stage that we'll be going over would be personal. The second stage that we'll be going over is behavioral, and the third final stage would be environmental. So let's go. So the purpose for this theory is that this theory is to learn about oneself through self-observation through daily actions. This theory is to examine personal, behavioral, and environmental factors of their own behaviors. So things that people do in their everyday life um, that either benefits their health or diminishes their health. Um, Although this theory can be used for big groups, the primary focus of this theory is basically individuals, like I said earlier. Um, the reason for that is because the population that I'm trying to go for is college students. So pretty much college students are the main population for this theory, just because a lot of college students have problems that allow um, them to have their behaviors change to um, really bad, like moods and like just the way that they act, like depression, how they like can receive suicidal thoughts and whatnot. Um, this model is basically just to provide a understanding of oneself and to have um, have them learn from their own self observations and things that they can change in their everyday life. So the concepts for this theory is uh, reciprocal determinism, which basically is the interaction of personal cognitive factors, human behaviors, and social environmental influences. Um, Self efficacy, which is the sources, include personal experiences, persuasion, and viscous experiences, and then observation and learning, like potential interventions that can be done or acted upon. To personal. Um, the personal part of this theory pretty much basically focuses on the mental aspect of one's behavior. Most theories that you can see or models don't really touch upon um, the mental status of how people are. And I thought it was a good idea that having a mental um, understanding where people's mental stability is can determine like their behavioral factors or the environmental factors that surround them. So pretty much with self-efficacy, a person senses off being able to deal effectively with particular actions. So like depending on where you are in the scale from healthy, reacting, injured, or ill, can pretty much depend on how your actions are when you are in public or by yourself or how you are feeling. Self regulation is the use of behavioral learning principles to change their own behaviors. So, when a person tries to self regulate themselves, they're trying to better themselves so that they can find changes to make them like flourish in their life. Mental stability is the understanding of behaviors that are caused in what your mental status is. So pretty much the chart that's down below from healthy reacting to injured each has um, or subcategories that explain like where a person is. So healthy, normal mood, calm minds, performing well, in control mentally, sleeping normal or normal sleeping patterns, physically well, good energy levels, no or limited alcohol use. Reacting has irritable mood, sadness, overwhelmed, trouble sleeping, low energy, decrease in activity, regular but controlled alcohol use. Then it gets a little bit more severe, going into injured and ill. So injured, your mood is angry, you have negative attitudes, you feel sad and hopeless, your performance is poor, um, concentration isn't there, so you have poor concentration, you have restless nights, you try to avoid people, and then you increase your use of alcohol. And the severity part for ill is that it gets a lot worse with aggression, depression, suicidal thoughts, over insubordination, too much sleep or too little sleep, constant fatigue, physical illnesses, alcohol addiction, other addictions like drugs and whatnot. So, pretty much focusing on the mental aspect of oneself can help understand why their behaviors are how they are when they act. So, depending on where you lie on the scale from healthy to ill, just um, from healthy to ill pretty much gives you like your health behaviors of how you are. Behavioral factors are factors that are like outside of your control, so like the what and how that are in your control actually. So like the what and how. So like for the individual or cognitive behaviors, for what it's the perceptions, race, culture, abilities, and attitudes. Um, the how is self-awareness, culture competency, sense of social world, consistency, and distinctiveness. Self-awareness abilities, it symbolizes how a person feels about the tasks while managing perceptions of his own abilities to describe or decide the kind of work that needs to be allotted to an individual. Sense of world, social world permits a person to understand other individuals or groups in the social world. Race and culture can get very iffy just because the world is very diverse. So everyone has their own opinions on culture and race and how they pretty much perceive people when they see them. So race and culture have always exerted an importance and influence both at the workplace as well as in society. The common mistakes such as attributing behaviors and stereotyping according to the individual's race, cultural background, influences their individual behavior. In today's diverse world, working culture, the management as well as staff should learn and accept different cultures, values, and common protocols to create more comfortable, appropriate culture spaces for individuals. Consistency is the frequency measured of observation behavior. It's often used to um, describe how people are with their behavior. Distinctiveness is the extent to which a person's behavior can be associated to situations or their personality. The environmental factors. Environmental factors are pretty much like social norms, social support, access in the community, and adaptation. Pretty much, have um, people have um, access in the community no matter what your socioeconomic status. Some people have it better, some people have it worse. Those who have a high flourishing status, like be very well off, would have a different like viewpoint of where their individual health behaviors are versus someone who is in the low economic class. Pretty much for the environmental factors, it's also adaptation, where people adapt to situations that lead them to either be healthier or lead them to be not as healthy as you think. Um, Another factor would be social support. People in the environmental, no matter if they're good, if they're bad, influence the way the environment is. A lot of people like don't think that social support is useful, but it is. Social support is like the main thing that gets everyone to push each other to do better or work best at what they are. Um, Pretty much in the environmental factors, it's also the area that you are in. So, public spaces, workspaces, school spaces. For um, us, we're talking about college students, so school and work. Pretty much the environmental factors that cause our health to either diminish or flourish into a higher sense of well being. So, pretty much when you look at all three of the um, factors, the personal, behavioral, and the environmental, pretty much the point I'm trying to get is to understand where you come from, understand your reaction to how you are with your health, your mental status, the behaviors that you perceive outside of yourself and outside yourself with surrounding people, or inside yourself where you understand where you come from and what your point is or where you are trying to make your point in this world. Also, would be factors like the environment that influences your behaviors and whatnot. So, pretty much, if you have good friends, you're in a positive attitude, positive environment, you're pretty much going to be flourishing in a really nice, healthy behavior because there's no negative impact to impacts like negative thoughts, negative feelings. There aren't negative people to put you down. Um, Pretty much with this cycle works very well just to show how an individual can start with with many different um, issues or problems to a point where once they start understanding where they are, they can work on themselves and pretty much work on themselves to a point where that they know that the small things that trigger them help them out and pretty much um, change the factor of how uh, their personal health is. Um, so yeah, it's pretty much the theory that I came up with. Thanks, guys.